Can you feel summer in the air right now across the lands? Australia, West Indies, Australian domestic news. Hey, Tim Paine is back. James Pattinson is about to retire, probably. India, South Africa, Pakistan, England. AB de Villiers eye surgery, of course, due to his retinal detachment, and he will no longer be making a comeback. Hashtag AskTGC, it's all to come. Hey, this is brought to you by Budgy Smuggler, our dearest of dear friends. Sponsor this show every single week and have done for years. You can find the new hoodie range, the new tracksuit range as well at budgysmuggler.com. And, of course, right at the end of the Ordinary Rig competition. And we thank everyone who's sent in many, many contributions on behalf of TGC and all the other podcasts going around Australia that Budgy Smuggler so kindly help. My name is Ian Higgins. Sam Perry just had his school reunion on the weekend. But you came back fresh and you came back with love in your heart. And I want to know, as we move forward into the summer months, we look to the future, we look forward to silverware. That's how people talk in cricket. We talk about silverware, and hopefully the team that we support sometimes brings us some silverware. But what about the past? Let's think about the past. And you went back to your school, back there in Sydney there, met up with some friends.
Yep.
What happened? What happened at your school
Well,
reunion?
I wouldn't say I came back fresh from it.
Okay.
It was large. It was a large event.
Did you go large?
Occasion. Yeah.
How'd you go?
I did, but I'm glad to. It was a special occasion. It was one of those, I actually didn't feel guilty about going large.
Okay.
But how did I feel? Somebody wanted to take a photo of me in front of another photo of me from when I was in year 10, in the year 2000.
Yeah.
And they just said, what have you learned over the last 20 years? They filmed me. I just said, I wish and what do you wish you'd done? So I investigated hair medicines. Really?
Medicines. Yeah. Potions and whatnot.
No, it was nice. Everyone, like reunions can bring mixed feelings.
Yeah,
and people start going, what have I achieved?
I invented Post-its.
Exactly. Yes.
It's one for the kids there, that joke.
Yeah, that's right. Little Romeo and Michelle's high school reunion joke. But everybody was very kind to each other. We had a good year group. It was actually a combined reunion with other year groups as well. Okay. And but they took us.
Was there an alpha hierarchy still in that?
Not
dynamic?
at all. No.
Really?
Everyone walked. It was a real it was a reversion to old roles and stuff as well.
Yeah.
We had a good year group, and the other year groups were good as well. And they took us on a tour of the school, and obviously immediately just wanted to start exploring things you weren't allowed to explore, and that could mean a few things. Come to think of it, and we've just had an email from the guy who organised it. Yeah. Kindly, he works at the alumni or whatever. Right. And he's very politely asking who may have information about a very crucial piece of the archives that's been removed, which was a hard flat book, and he asked whether it had been taken to the bathrooms. And I think the insinuation is someone had used it as a flat surface for drugs or masturbatory content.
Sure, masturbatory content. Yeah, okay, okay.
Sorry, yeah, that was me, Richard.
Yeah.
No, it was a really good night. My old cricket club also celebrated 125 years of history on Monday.
Nice. That's a lot for Australia. That's a lot for Australia.
I was unable to make it, but it looked like a very good day, judging by the WhatsApp content that continued on into the night. Yeah, with various photos of things.
Well, there are many more big nights coming up in TGC world as well, because we're doing a live show in Melbourne at the Corner Hotel Wednesday, November 2 was a World Cup special. We're obviously touring the country later in the year, but that show is now sold out and did so in half an hour. So that's exciting. That's exciting for all those who did get tickets. Of course, about half of those are actually patrons who got pre-sale. But that show sold out in half an hour, so that's exciting and bodes well for the summer. So I'm going to say, once we announce our dates for the rest of the country this summer, I would recommend getting in quick because apparently some blokes want to have a look at it.
Coats are keen.
Coats are keen, as you said. Coats are keen.
And they should be.
So that's great. So that's great news all around. We are going to talk about cricket in a second. But we also had a net. We had a net during the week. We had a net a couple of weeks ago, but it went on the internet last night. And it's always nice to get some feedback out there from the professional batting coaches and whatnot. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Of course, I mentioned Patreon before, but you can follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/greatcricketer. and you get access to merchandise discounts. You get access to pre-sale tickets. You also get hashtag AskTGC Fridays, where we had a question from last week's hashtag AskTGC Fridays, episode 110, I want to say, and in fact, I will say that, about a guy catching his penis between his legs. And people figured out which club that was very quickly in the UK. So
called the slips catch.
Slips catch.
But he had to do it. He had to do it along with the whole club.
Yep.
And we were discussing how, although he's a sort of ones and twos player notionally, or maybe just a second grade player,
he slid down because the county pros came back to play for the club.
The fact that he was open to trying to catch his penis between his legs in front of the club will leave him in good stead next season.
Good stead.
Far more than any kind of split weights routine or addressing of biomechanical deficiencies ever could.
That's right.
Just how club cricket works.
That's right. Patreon.com/Grade Cricketer if you want it. Okay, the cricket that's going on at the moment feels like it's kind of in between, but is it an in-between week this week?
Yeah,
it might be a little bit.
Fuck all happening.
Some stuff has happened, but let's have a talk about it. Okay, Australia starts their summer, I suppose, though they have already played a couple of games in the winter months with Zimbabwe and New Zealand. I had to look that up before. I don't really remember it, if I'm honest, but that apparently did happen. There's 2 matches going on against the West Indies. There's the Gold Coast tomorrow and then the Gabba on Friday before they knock that fucker down. The news is very top line that Stoinis is out with a side strain. We'll talk about that in a moment's time, Pez. But have you seen Shannon Hetmeyer is out of the World Cup squad? Have you seen this? He missed
Shimron.
So what did I say?
Shannon.
Just
anglicised his name.
Wow, okay.
Oh, Charlie Insomnia.
Why did I say Shannon? Shannon Hetmeyer. Yeah. Okay, wow, that's racist. Hetmeyer missed his flight and he's out of the T20 World Cup squad. Let me read something to you. Hetmeyer had requested his flight be rescheduled from Saturday to Monday for family reasons, but informed the management today he would not be able to make it to the airport on time. He missed the flight and they've said, you ain't in the squad no more. Shimron.
Yeah, that's right. So he asked for it to be rearranged.
Yeah, he asked for it to be rearranged.
They rearranged it, and then he said, I can't make it.
Can't make it.
Probably more happening there. Not like I'll defer to people who know more. I noted the dudes at Caribbean Cricket Podcast, great cast. They've been questioning Hetmeyer's commitment for some time, going back sort of 9 months, 12 months.
Couple of this kind of bloke issue in the squad.
Yeah. And then it causes I'm
thinking the Ryan especially, sorry.
No, that's all right. And just that broader theme of like Windies players, do they care? You know, are they into it? But all of that just leads me to want them to come out and bulldoze everybody.
Yeah.
You know, all the same out here in Australia.
It's a shame.
I only have love.
Because we have, seen some of the fucking skills these West Indies guys have got through via the IPL, right? Which, as we have said many times, is by a distance the highest standard of any domestic league. So we've seen him play a lot more recently than what I would have observed before had I not been following the IPL the last couple of seasons. And this guy is fucking electric. He's a great finisher. He's a great 5-6. I think he came out as high as 4 sometimes. He's playing for Delhi. Left-handed power hitter, clutch finisher.
Yeah, good without a lid too. Bats without a lid.
Sensational salad.
Yeah, gets a salad going.
And so for him not to be part of the tournament actually it weakens the tournament because the West Indies are such a mercurial team that they could easily just win 8 games in a row. Such as their ability. Nicky P, friend of the show, Nicholas Purin, obviously captain of the side now, but there's obviously more news about guys who are missing this tournament. Obviously, Bairstow's not making it. Jasprit Bumrah's out of the tournament as well. Jadeja's already out. There's lots of big outs for teams. Anyway, so that's the main news. And yes, I would suggest Sam Perry from the Great Cricketer. That there's some more stuff going on there, given it's from family reasons. But we don't know what's happened just yet because it only just broke this morning. So, okay, so in this series, Pez, this 2-match series against the West Indies, all these are just warm-up games, right, for the World Cup for Australia. They play 3 against England after this series as well. More just warm-up gear. But Stoinis is out of the side strain of this series, and that's an interesting one because Stoinis' spot is already in jeopardy. He's the most in jeopardy with Tim David in the side, right? Because I feel like we still don't know what Australia's best 11 is. Maybe most teams don't either. This far out because the games are so different every single time they play. But Stoinis needs some time on the park to actually solidify a spot. I mean, he was part of the World Cup winning side last year and a critical part of that side as well. Yeah. It should be said. He'd probably get first crack, but it just leaves a door ajar for Tim David. And there's just so much chat we've spoken about on the show for a while about what this guy can do, and he's going to get 2 more opportunities here to basically usurp Marcus Stoinis in the first 11 team, and that's I don't know what else you can do about it, because if Stoinis is injured, then Stoinis is injured, right?
Yeah, exactly. I suppose the upside for Stoinis versus David is that Stoinis has that winning experience in a World Cup. He brings some vibe and some energy and some
chop out.
And some alchemy. And I was going to say the second one is he's got a chop out in him.
Sorry.
He's got a chop out in him. And we're yet to see if David's got a chop out in him. So if Tim David can come along this series and show us a chop out, then...
Who was the person who coined the term chop out?
I don't know.
It didn't come from anywhere except for Australia, did it?
It's an Aussie rules thing.
Didn't come out from anywhere.
Yeah, I think a ruckman comes in and chops out.
It chops out.
Yeah, because the Finch started talking about it this time last year. He's got the chop out. We're like, excuse me? He's got a what?
Sounds like there'll be a lot of end of seasons. Perhaps in the UK at the moment, the bloke's getting the chop out as well.
Yeah, good point.
Fingers crossed.
But I think that the deadline, and this is reported by Alex Malcolm in Cricinfo, another friend of the show.
Yeah, yes.
The deadline for injury and forced changes without going through the event technical committee. And I know people shouting into their earphones now going, yeah, but is it through the technical? Is that through the event technical committee or not?
What about the technical committee?
That's right. It's October 15 for teams who are already in the Super 12s, which is not to be confused with Super 12 rugby.
Right.
Which is,
are you talking about the Waratahs and the Reds?
Yeah, the Waratahs Reds in the late 90s.
Late 90s.
Before that was Super 10s.
Super 10s.
Then it went to Super 15s,
Yes.
and then it's some other shit now.
Yeah,
And I'm just thinking, how do you make it into the event technical committee? What is that? Do you put it on your LinkedIn? What do you wear to those events? They're the kinds of questions I've got about that. But Stoinis is out with a side. He's linking with the Australian team on the weekend, who come back to Perth, where he already is. Yeah, so he doesn't have to get on a flight, etc.
Perfect.
I guess, yeah. I don't know. Look, I am curious. Again, and we said this last week, they've got two absolute, like, mouth-watering monster prospects, Australia, that weren't here last year, which is Tim David and Cameron Green. Now, Cameron Green is...
Mouth-watering monster prospects. Fuck yeah.
Isn't it true?
Yeah.
That's what they are.
You ever look at a man and just, your mouth waters?
Well, it's like the fucking... What was Bugs Bunny's team in Looney Tunes, the Tune Squad? Like, they could actually recruit two from the fucking... From the Monstars, you know what I mean? I always come back to Space Jam, but it is like it's just two massive blokes have now come in. It's like you've got two recruits on scholarship for your footy team or some shit. I don't know. And like,
did anyone watch the LeBron James
no, I
Space Jam?
watched
No, I haven't watched it either. I don't think it
it
wasn't reviewed very well. I don't think.
Yeah. Once again, Jordan wins again.
Jordan wins again.
But anyway, I'm curious as to whether, again, like Ronnie McDonald gives the team that won the comp last year first crack. Or whether, like David will, just subject to injury. The other one is Mitch Marsh as an ankle as well.
So he's not playing?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether he's actually playing against the West Indies, but he's got an ankle.
He's got an ankle.
So he's got an ankle. Stoinis has got a side. Are these niggles or are they material injuries? Are Australia playing dead? Are they playing silly buggers?
They're playing silly buggers.
Are the waters being muddied?
Oh, okay.
They're
being tested
for the return of Cameron Green. Is there mud in the water?
I did find it interesting that Cameron Green is in the squad now. Like
he's on standby.
They're just edging us. They're edging us with Cameron Green in the squad. Like, because if he's not, if they didn't want us to have a taste, if they didn't want us to suckle at the teat. Then don't put him in the squad. Don't.
Oh, you want me to suckle the teeth, do you? I saw. I'm like,
what am I going to do? Not suckle at the teat?
Refreshingcricket.com.au, waiting for them to release the squad for this critical series against the West Indies,
you're on the
commencing on fucking Wednesday or some shit at the place they're going to knock down.
It's the big Wednesday one on the Goldie.
Oh, the Goldie. Is that Metricon?
Yeah.
And
Cavalav on Wednesday.
And I saw that. Yeah, and I was just waiting to refresh. And as soon as I saw Cameron Green standby, I'm like, I have to suckle at the teat now.
I'm sucking at the teat
once again.
Don't get him anywhere near the squad if you're not me to get a fucking bit of blood in my penis.
Is that blood in the penis or just a little bit of lactate? Just a little bit of lactate out of the Australian selectorial teat. There he is. And it tastes like Cameron Green.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. I mean, if he's at a warm-up, you're just looking at that, aren't you? I mean, it's talking about mouth-watering prospects. Goodness
They're
me.
very keen to pick him.
I know. That's that. Like,
And that's why, like,
any excuse.
Stoinis has been texting, just going like, I haven't got a side at all. Honestly, it's a North Korea job here from George Bailey. He's like, no, you got a side. Everyone just keep riding it, and he has.
Stoinis was part of this Optus hack, so he's had his identity stolen now.
He's just been calling, going like, I'm lifting. I got lats for days.
I'm only doing lats
on 145s.
Yeah, I'm doing obliques and lats. Don't worry about me side. Okay,
they've locked
desperate
him up
for a game. Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, Green's in the Windy squad as cover. I don't know.
They just want him, don't they? I mean,
Yeah,
it's now more than in and around. I get when just to make an 05 Ashes reference, 17 years ago when McGrath did his ankle. I reckon blokes are just like rolling balls left, right, centre, just a couple of ankles going over. Just get Green in any way you can.
Yeah, George Bailey's got an anonymous mask on. He's just rolling balls out there. Yeah.
Careful. Oh.
New warm-up game, guys. Just before the game. Right. I want Smith, Marsh, Stoinis, and I just want you to do just a couple of shuttles, and I'm just going to be rolling cricket balls out, okay?
One of you is getting kneecapped.
That's all right, and you're going to be wearing blindfolds. All those blinkers that horses wear to make sure they're going... We say Cam Green in those blinkers, actually.
Yeah. So that's the Australia-West Indies series. Hey, we're all looking forward to that.
Yeah,
we're all looking forward
banger.
to that. Just keeping it in Australia while we're in the neighbourhood, and I feel like we're in the neighbourhood. The Marsh Cup is being played at the moment. That's the Australian 50-over domestic tournament, which happens once a year. And then now I've switched over.
It's already run and gone. Isn't the Shield on now?
They're playing the Shield now, yeah. The Shield's on now. Most interesting thing happening in the Marsh Cup was New South Wales got bowled out for 76 by Western Australia. It's the lowest ever score they've ever had in the 50-over domestic competitions, like one of the top 5 lowest scores ever.
Well, it was their lowest in New South Wales list day history. And like, I can't say I've got a great grip on what list day is. Like 20 years after I saw the word on Cricket Info.
Yeah. I thought it was an England thing.
List day.
List day. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means.
Like if someone came up to you, circuit, obviously having a beer, wherever you are in the circuit, you might have graduated to, Scotch and Dry. I don't know.
Okay. So you're not at the first pub of the circuit. So the circuit is usually a triangle. It's usually a Bermuda triangle, and someone gets lost in the triangle.
Goes without saying.
So he goes to like the sponsors pub, the named sponsors pub. That's your first one. Then you go to like a bar, and then you end up. Bar could be nightclub, and then the third one is an absolute dive bar that closes like 6 a.m.
Yeah, no, you're upstairs cargo. Didn't know there was a downstairs. You've caught up with other teams now. Like they're circuiting there as well. Yeah. A couple of guys who played some underage state stuff. They know each other. And then you look over at them, but you want someone to approach you first, and then somehow it comes up in conversation that one of those players, like if they said to you like, like you're not sure if they played state cricket. They said, I played a bit of list day stuff. List day. Could you, after a couple of Scotch and Dries, like hand on heart, say like, I know what that means?
Yeah. Oh, I know what that means.
Yeah. List day stuff. Anyway. So that score.
I like the idea of being in any conversation and someone saying something, I know what that means.
I think the New South Wales kit is of greater concern.
Concern, yeah.
Than being rolled.
Greater concern.
Yeah, well, not far off. Like if you want a visual symbol of the degradation of state cricket, vis-a-vis global cricket forces, have a look at the New South Wales state kit. I find it... I find all of it very unsafe. Like WA get this one down. New South Wales out for 76. I don't know what list day cricket is anymore, and their kit looks like something we would have trained in Emerging Blues in 1997. And even that was sponsored by Light Ice.
Well, I was going to say, can someone find these guys a gambling sponsor? Come on.
If you can't get a fucking slap a gambling sponsor on it, even just
from anywhere.
Yeah. Gratis, just get something going. The weakness of New South Wales cricket at the moment is a concern, and it points to a real lack of safety, not just for New South Welsh people, as you and I are, but for the nation, possibly the globe.
What do they say, Pez, about New South Wales cricket?
Fool me once. Fool me once, go get fooled again.
I mean, that is the most famous one. The second one is, Australian cricket's strong when New South Wales cricket is strong. Yeah. And just looking at the current team, it's like there's not many guys who would be next cab or even in the picture. Hey, good
blokes.
Hey,
very good event at the Star some months ago. Yeah, and phones on.
Some would argue not representative of the city itself. Good blokes. Some would argue that.
That's right. That's like the Swans.
And only we can say that because that's our family. No one else can sledge it, so shut the fuck up. Hey, Tim Paine, who was not selected for the Marsh Cup, but he's in the Sheffield Shield squad for Tasmania, and it seems like he is going to play. So this will be the first time in a minute. I don't know when his last game was. Must have been 2 years ago, maybe 18 months ago, whenever it was, since he last played any sort of first-class cricket. He played one game for University of Tas, didn't he, last year?
Opening the bowling?
Nah, that was after.
That's the only game he's played now for me.
Yeah, that's true. Jeff Vaughan, who is the new coach of the Tassie cricket side, he said he came and spoke to the CEO and myself, referring to Paine, one day and said he'd like to come back and he's certainly going to play cricket for university. That's his grade side, University of Tasmania. So he's been training with us most sessions the last 5 or 6 weeks. Physically, he's going well. Emotionally, going well. I'm sure everyone would agree that we trust his wicket-keeping skill set, his leadership skill set. So he's up for selection. Like any of our contracted players and like any of our players in Tasmanian Premier Cricket, he's up for selection. And one we will certainly speak about. That's also via ESPN Cricket Info, I should say, which Jeff Vaughan said those comments to. So, and just before we jumped on air here, it seems like he's going to play. Paine's going to play.
Good.
So that's...
I'm happy to hear that.
Absolutely.
I think people are allowed to like learn and grow and come back better.
Well, that seems rational,
from mistakes they've made in life, and you know, it's not to. I don't mean to draw an unnecessary or inappropriate equivalency, but I think the same applies to David Warner. Heaps of other people. I think you should just be able to go again after making mistakes. And you know, it's not just me saying that. I mean, Pat Cummins said that about Tim Paine. You know, you make a mistake and you come back, and if cricket's an excellent thing for him to do, and he is excellent at it, then let's go, let's play. And 100%. I'd like to see him play again.
100%, well said. I don't have anything other to comment than that because I agree with that wholeheartedly. Hey, James Pattinson, this is maybe a more interesting one, Pez. His contract with Victoria will be terminated via mutual consent. He's in the last year of his current contract, but they're going to terminate it early. Both sides of that party agreed to that. The official statement called it, and I quote, an extended break from the game as Pattinson cited the impact of a county season with Nottinghamshire on his body and a desire to spend time with his young family. I'm now reading direct quotes from James Pattinson. This decision has been a really difficult one for me, given how much I love playing for Victoria and have given it all for the last 14 years. After the birth of our second child and now well-documented injuries in recent years, it's the right time to take a break from the game. I owe it to my teammates and myself, and at the moment it's clear I need the rest. It will also allow me to spend more time at home with our daughters. Some of my fondest memories playing cricket have been for Victoria, the success we've had and friendships I've made. The fire still burns deep in me, but I'm also honest about where I'm at. It's like 20 something tests. 21 tests maybe for Pato, 4 or 5 for his averaging 26. I think I'm right in saying I looked up this morning. I think those numbers are about right. But there's just something about it which just feels a bit lost, isn't it? Like he was so fucking electric. Like maybe the most electric bowler we've had maybe since Brett Lee. I'm not talking about the same pace, but that electricity. I'm not sure another bowler we've had recently. Mitch Johnson had a vibe going there for a while for sure, but Pattinson brought some sort of energy, some sort of electricity, which the current crop, who are, you would argue, perhaps better or maybe just more suited, Stark, Cummins, Hazelwood, they don't have the same electricity as what Pattinson seemed to have. And there's 21 tests. That's a really good career. But it just feels like, oh, fuck, we missed out on like a 70-test Gillespie-style bowler there, you know?
Yeah. It feels spoiled saying that.
Of course,
definitely have the same. But it's a compliment to him and what he was capable of. Like I come back to Old Trafford, it was Headingley. Sorry, before some other shit happened later in the game. But
yeah.
I think Justin Langer came up to Cummins, Hazelwood and Pattinson and said, I've been waiting for you blokes to
that's right.
to have a bowl together. And they rocked England for like 70 or
60,
something.
I think.
60 and
somehow lost the game.
Yeah, what? So I think those three were quite anointed. Like with respect to Stark, who's a fraction older than those guys.
Right.
But and Pattinson just couldn't get the body together, and I can't pretend to understand how much of that is like by nature, how much is by design, and how much is with luck and whatever. But it didn't happen, and you're right. Like I don't think there's any better energy or vibes bowler from the last 10 years, and and I think it would have been nice to just see a few more spells, with his tail up.
Great way to put it. Yeah.
I think we missed a few spells. We're still grateful for for what we got. For professional athletes, merely serve our entertainment interests, as in, I don't care about their life or who they are. I just want to sit with a packet of Doritos and leave crumbs on my growing belly while someone's in the midst of a brutal spell. And I'm kind of getting up and down, cup of tea, got to sort of fix a few things around the house. But
say stuff like pitch it up, just to no one in particular.
Right. Geez, bowling quick, and then just move off to something else. No, I mean, I'd love to know how he feels about his career, because I mean, what a player he was. We would love to get him on the show as well, and a very popular guy as well. There's always great stories about him, particularly like when he was in the Aussie under-19s and stuff as well. Just an absolute gun, really popular guy. Wish him all the best. I'd love to get him on the show.
He was the most like Stuart Broad-esque bowler that I think Australia had in that vibes spell style, you know, like just that electric 3-4 over stints where it's like every ball is like you have to watch it because there's just so much fucking energy happening.
Or the sort of guy that like he reminds you of cricket that you can connect with, where like it's quite traditional. Like your team might be struggling or it might be flat or something, and then he's your big fast bowler who can get the ball and make and conjure something through energy. He's a conjurer.
He's a conjurer.
Through like some kind of intangible force of personality and like physical force as well.
Yeah.
And rather than a kind of a bowler sort of manufactured in a lab, you know, like he had some spirit to him as well, and could really make things happen if everything had come together for him. But and you know, we still had 20 tests and a lot of memories to enjoy. But I mean, he's a guy that had, you know, 80, 100 tests in him, in a different situation.
Exactly. Yeah. It was also that great footage of him knocking over a bloke in first grade and sending him off.
Because that bloke walked at him.
Because that bloke walked at him. Yeah. That bloke was sledging him whilst he was facing James Pattinson.
I think we put it out there, and then a number of anonymous people wrote in saying, no, Pattinson, that guy deserved that.
Yeah, which I would really believe in great cricket.
Yeah, that's
also,
right.
when we met Patto in might have been, when did we first met? Maybe 2018, something like that. He was a really softly spoken, really polite, gentle guy. Very different to how you see on the field. He's one of those kind of guys.
We met him after the Ashes in 2019, doing stuff with Channel 7.
That's right.
I saw the clip the other day, and he was talking about how when he closes his eyes, he wishes he was an Aussie rules player, but then he wakes up and he's jolted into the reality that he's just an Australian cricketer. I know that's exactly
what a fallback.
That was the gist of it.
Yeah, what a fallback. Well, anyway, you know, we've absolutely spoiled. Got 20 tests, so has some great memories. But it's like, but I want more.
I want more. Where was the 80 test?
Dad, I want more. Pez, the Budgy Smuggler, the Ordinary Rig competition. We want to thank Budgy Smuggler for their support over the years of this program. It's been like 5-6 years with Budgy Smuggler, and entries have already closed for the Ordinary competition. October 3 it closed, and today is October 4. So if you're listening to this on October 2, there's still plenty of time. And good luck with your time machine. But we thank people who sent in entries. We thank people for the support across all the podcasts for the Ordinary competition. Do you know when the actual date is? It's on the 29th.
29th October.
29th at the it's the Ivy, isn't it?
Is it the Ivy? I know it's been in the Ivy in the past. It's gonna be a big affair, a really big affair.
Yeah, you hosted the original one a few years ago.
You know what? I think the Batuta boys did the first ever one.
Oh, okay.
I was judging on
You were
one,
judging.
And then I did the second one. And I think this time around it's the Hello Sport boys.
Yeah.
So
that'll be good.
It's going to be a good event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. What do you want to say about Budgy Smuggler? Anything else? BudgySmuggler.com. Use the code CHAMP at checkout.
Yeah, get around them in turn get around you.
Do you want to talk about T20 stars then?
Yeah, why not? So, I mean, I guess we have to reflect a little bit on the net that we had. I mean, but yeah, exactly. Then I think about that. There's a growing genre of like cricket video of just everyday blokes getting in the nets and filming and
thinking they're fucking sick.
Well, I don't know. Like I was very wary about this exercise.
Yeah,
you know, and it was done like to test out T20 Stars kit, which. Genuinely, it's very good kit when you got it out of the middle. But I was not that people have asked for a BTS of this, but I just want to express my own personal lack of certainty about exploring this genre. You know, like I didn't want there to be any kind of sense that we could play or anything like that. Because people just have a net. You know, what's inherent? Is there anything inherently interesting about two blokes, 37 and what are you, 35, 36?
36, yeah.
Just having a net, having a stick? Not really.
Here's the paradigm, Pez. You know, like when you are playing great cricket, you are therefore the cricketer of the group. You're the cricketer of your family. Now, it's a very similar paradox where you're in, where you are, if you are in that family, you are the cricketer.
Yeah.
But if you go back to your club side, then you're all cricketers.
Yeah.
And if you sort of announce yourself that you like cricket too much, that is a family, and you like cricket too much, or you're interested in filming yourself playing cricket in that circle, in grade cricket, can you imagine people being like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, it's nonsense.
Yeah. Oh, do you like cricket?
Yeah.
I've played with you for the last 8 years, but do you like cricket?
Yeah.
That's fucking weird.
We all spend probably 24 hours a week.
Every summer.
Possibly more committed to cricket if you factor in travel and
8 months a year.
Mental exhaustion.
7-8 months a year.
Yeah. So we all do that, but you're actually publicly amplifying your love of the game.
Yeah.
And you're showing yourself to others to be loving the game of cricket. That's probably where the inherent like discomfort I had with this was.
Definitely.
On top of knowing what the response would be. You know, it's just like, well, I'm having a net. My eyes have been painted on for, I'd say, 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
And just knowing that like the ball's going to come down, going to play, going to just reacquaint myself with biomechanical deficiencies and muscle memory problems, and what the responses would be.
I have enjoyed the literal batting analysis from 12-year-olds.
Literal. So how was the experience for you in terms of like now that it's been posted out the net that we had at Junction Oval?
Yep.
What do you make of the response from people? Well, firstly, what do you make of your own performance and just the experience, and then the response?
Okay. So that morning I got home at 4:30, and I think we liaised at about 10, something like that.
Yeah.
I got an Uber.
So you gave yourself an excuse early.
Gave myself, and I'm living off that as well. So that's good.
So because people can always think now, like, oh, what would he be like without the 4:30 arrival?
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
So that's good.
Probably
putting their little barriers up early.
Probably more caps than Pattinson, I would have thought. So yeah, barriers are up early, blinkers are on. You know, like
false blinkers.
You summed up really nicely when you said it was an experience of thinking one thing was going to happen, then experiencing another, or something to that effect. I've just bastardized what you just said.
Not quite the pros,
not quite that. Not quite the pros or the cons.
So yeah, all right. You're home at 4:30.
Yeah. And I just realised that I could see the ball, but then the you know moving the body towards the ball was actually a lot more difficult. It actually took a while to get going. But now that I've done that, I was like, oh, now.
So you got going?
Yeah. Fair enough.
Took a while to get going.
Straight into that. But once I got going, fuck me. They couldn't stop me.
Yeah, that's right.
They could not stop me.
Yeah. It's not easy, is it?
No, it's not. No. You know, sometimes when people who still play, they have this experience of like, oh, I play better when I'm hungover.
Yeah.
And it's just not true.
No.
It's just not true. So now, like, I had that experience because I just was enjoying my Friday night before having a hit at the Junction organised by the head of Cricket Victoria.
Oh, it should be clear. He didn't organise it.
Sorry.
He didn't say he didn't come say, hey boys, I'd love you to have this net. He just wanted us to put a helmet on.
Yeah.
No, he just enabled it. He opened the
gates,
was
an enabler.
Which was nice. An enabler.
Yeah, whilst there's a literal first class match happening, a list A game actually happening. Anyway, I don't know, mate. I don't know. Hit some balls, missed heaps,
got going.
middle fucking none of them. Head all over the place, weight back, couldn't transition, couldn't get my hands through the ball. I played 2 nice shots, job done.
And the response online?
I don't really care. I mean, most people are actually quite nice. Most people are nice, but you know, it is funny when some people have like literally dissected like techniques, being like, "Well, here's what you're doing wrong. Here's what I'm doing wrong for what? I don't play cricket anymore. Nor do I need to."
Yeah.
But you know, the benchmark for nets now is Virat Kohli 2018, and so anyone else is doing anything outside of that, well, then what are you doing?
Well, I mean, you can't attain the benchmark online for anything. I mean, Virat Kohli can't attain the benchmark because he, from 2015, is the benchmark for Virat Kohli now. He just can't be done.
Right.
That's the paradox of it all.
Yeah.
I found it it was one of those experiences where you're grappling with something that you used to be able to do and you can't quite get there. It's sort of within reach.
Hey, you were facing wheels though. You got up to 150 against you. I'm not sure how much was that in the final cup, but it was fucking quick. Hey, mate, you haven't picked up a bat in half a decade, maybe more. That's pretty good.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah.
It's pretty good.
It wasn't though because it's like when the ball comes out of the machine, it's I can't see it the way that I used to be able to see it. And even then, it wasn't even back then. It wasn't even that good. But anyway, you just reacquaint yourself with all of your deficiencies. The brain, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. And then the reaction online. I mean, you're right. Like most of the comments are nice. And I was already prepared.
Put those in the bin.
I was like
on the 1%.
I had the force filled up, like for comments, but and I arrogantly dismissed 98% of them. You know what I mean? But I knew one or two would like sneak through the ego.
Oh, sure.
Someone said I have cinder block hands. So, typed in cinder block hands. It's another way of saying hard hands. But you actually need those hands to chop cinder blocks in martial arts.
Okay, yeah, right.
So, on my hand.
Functional.
Yeah. Someone's requesting I have softer hands at the age of 37 playing 145 kilometre hour bowling.
But Pez for what?
With jugs balls, half of them are eaten up, and so they're actually wobbling as they come to you. I'm wearing glasses that are fucking fogged up. I've bought the lid yesterday. He's like, I just soften those hands a bit. Is that right? Fucking online cunt.
But Pez, soften your hands for what? You don't play cricket.
Yeah.
You don't play. No one's going to get you out anymore.
Yeah.
You're safe, baby.
I thought it was a good exercise though, because you like Gideon Haigh says this a lot. Like if you're going to talk about cricket, like if it's going to be your muse, you've got to get involved from time to time. And I think we've been guilty of probably just like looking at it from a distance, which is its own kind of performative thing as well. But
course,
you got to get in there and just go. And then you get other comments and people are like, oh, you guys are a bit better than I thought. It's like, well, thank you, obviously, but also like, what do you fucking think?
Yeah.
What do you think? What did you think it was?
Yeah. What do you think great cricket was? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, mate.
Yeah, look at us. We're just absolutely tortured by it. It's like, both of us with our arms crossed.
The thing is, though, because like when we played, Frogbox wasn't a thing. So like neither one of us have ever seen ourselves play. Yeah. And so there's that. And then I know people commenting on like.
It's like hearing your own voice, to be honest. Like when you watch yourself play, it's like, no, don't.
That's not it.
Not a fan of that. Yeah. Oh, no, maybe you do. Maybe you, no.
Oh, mate.
That you don't identify that at all. Yeah. Like John Lennon didn't like it, but obviously fucking. Sorry, doesn't apply.
Mate, don't look at my screensaver of my phone, mate, if I was you. Yeah.
I love how I look, I love how I sound. What's the issue? Yeah.
T20stars.com. Use the code TGC15 for 15% off the full T20 Stars range. Get around T20 Stars as they have facilitated that net. They gave us all the kit. It's really good kit. We enjoyed the kit. It's clean kit. It's new kit. It's fresh kit. It's good kit. It's good gear.
And we're going to have a net with Watto.
We're going to have another net with Watto. So that was just warm-up. It was a precursor too. I've got to say, like, just having a hit and like being drunk, now I'm like, oh, no, I want to do it. I want to be better now. But for what? I don't.
What are we going to do? We're going to bowl to Watto. I do want to see. I want to see like
how big the front dog is.
Yeah, I want to see it down the ground.
You know those guys you used to play against who were so big at the crease.
Yeah.
That okay, I never played against Shane Watson, but like being Kevin Peterson, another one.
Peterson.
It's so
Peterson was the one for me.
So fucking big at the stumps, where like the stumps almost become like insignificant. It's like, how the fuck do you get this guy out?
Mate, KP was the one for me, seeing it live, because he used to have the really wide stance and he was massive. And also his bat plane was like quite sort of out to gully point kind of thing. So like he made like a tripod, like just an enormous fucking tripod. And you just think, fuck, imagine standing there like, how do I get this? How do I remove this object? Yeah. This is immovable.
Yeah. Frazier did that as well. Had a big old tripod.
Got it. Sorry, I'm there.
T20 Stars, we like the kit, we enjoy the kit. And if you want your new kit or your children's kit or someone you know that you love and adore and cherish their kit, T20stars.com. Use the code TGC15 for 15% off the full T20 Stars range. India, South Africa, Pez is a series that's going on, but India have won the series 2-0. That's the first time they've ever beaten South Africa in T20s in India.
Huge.
That seems surprising. Huge. I don't know how many times they've played against each other in a bilateral series of T20 cricket in India, but it's the first time India have ever won. They're 2-0 up in this 3-match series. The last game is tonight, Australia time. Right. The biggest news coming out of this series, though, Pez, obviously has implications for the T20 World Cup, and that is that Jasprit Bumrah, or Jason Bumrah, as I call him, or Jasper Bumrah, Jasper Bumrah is out of the World Cup with stressies in the old back there, so he is out. This is obviously on top of India's concerns with Jadeja, also out. Jadeja had a knee. He had I was going to say thumb. He had a knee.
With Bumrah, there's a slight murmur about a distinct lack of detail around what this injury is and was. There was sort of word floating around at the start of the series. Something's wrong. The BCCI only confirmed that he was out of the World Cup, I think, overnight. And I note a friend of the show, Ali Martin, and chief cricket correspondent at The Guardian, he replied to the BCCI. Mainly friend of the show, though. But I've said that in order.
Sure, you have, yeah.
One, he doesn't get one without the other. Sorry, Ali.
He doesn't get chief cricketer right without being a friend of the great cricketer.
Though he was, I think, before this started.
I think.
But Ali replied to the I hope he doesn't mind me reading this. He replied to the BCCI statement on Bumrah, a bit light on detail. And that's on Twitter. Now, Ali hasn't been seen since Monday. So there's a missing persons joke, which is a bit distasteful. No, Ali's fine, I think. Hi, Ali. But generally, they've said that it's not a stress fracture, but it's stress-related. So I'm just wondering from and I'm sure this will go down well in India.
Here we go.
Be perfect. Does that mean you can call it a stressy?
Well, he might just have worry lines. He just needs a bit of Botox. Jasper Bumrah just needs a bit of Botox. He's got worry lines on his forehead.
Talk to Paine and Warner. You can sort that out with Botox. Joking about Bumrah's back, that'll go well.
Yep.
No, I mean, I'm sure I'm just, you know how we talk about stressies being a badge of honour for quicks. If you get stressy, especially at a young age, that means you've sort of bowled at a threshold of pace. So then your body said, you've earned a stress fracture.
Yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations, you must bowl quick enough. So it's sort of all bowlers want it at some point.
It's the last badge on the scouts that you get, stressy.
What are the ones before?
There's heaps of them.
Yeah, orienteering.
You get orienteering. You get chubbing up.
Knots. Being able to tie knots.
You also get nonce. There's quite a few of those in the scale.
And then stressies. Look, Hindustan Times just looking a couple of words there.
I want one of those Twitter accounts that just say that stuff that's happened that gets 40,000 retweets. Great cricketer says Jasper Bumrah worried.
Just needs to fix his worry lines. Something lost in translation there, stress-related.
Yeah.
The quote was, he goes, following a detailed assessment and in consultation with the specialist, the board confirmed on Monday, the Bumrah was out of the World Cup.
Okay.
Though the BCCI did not specify the nature of Bumrah's back injury, Cricinfo understands that it is stress-related and he could be out of action for about 6 weeks. Yep. So something in the stress family of back injuries, but not a stress fracture.
See, a stress fracture is months, right?
Yes, but it's stress related.
Stress related.
He's had a stress response to his back. So it's just interesting language. Normally but I suppose in all seriousness, because the last 5 minutes has not been if you're talking about the premier fast bowler in the world who plays for India ahead of a World Cup, you can understand why there may be some caution around the precise language used around the injury. It's just that when it's so vague, it's just going to invite questions from people like Ali Martin on Twitter.
Yeah. People like him.
Who, again, has not been seen since Monday.
So the context of this, let's be clear about this. India have fucking shitloads of really good players. Yeah. And I'm sure they'll be able to fill an 11 despite Bumrah not making it.
They should be able to get an 11 on the park.
They should be getting an 11 on the park. But this is a big one.
They're light on quicks.
This is a significant issue. So I've seen a lot of conversation from Indian media and public concerned about the bowling efforts, even though they've won heaps of games recently, India. And the batting has just been fucking out of this world. Kohli's back in form.
They've won 5 from 6.
Kohli's back in form.
4 from 5, sorry.
Suryakumar Yadav is just, he is, in ranking terms, he's number 2 in the world behind Rizwan, who's been doing some sensational shit against England as well. Top of the innings there for the Pakistanis. But what Yadav is doing is just unbelievable. His consistency over the last very short term, but also longer term over the year, 18 months is just surreal. So the runs are good. Runs are good for India, it feels like, and also I've used, as you've noticed many times in the past, Pez, they bat really well in Australia.
But Aussies will be surprised that very settled first 11, Bumrah aside, will not include Rishabh Pant. So they'll come out to Australia. He's in the squad, but he's not in that
well,
first 11.
Well, he can't get a fucking bat at the moment either. Like anytime he does play, they've been chasing these totals 2 and 3 down so consistently. So in this series against South Africa, they actually restricted South Africa to 106 after South Africa with 5 wickets for 9 runs, or 9 for 5. And then India chased that 2 down. And then in the second game, India hit the 4th highest ever T20I total, hit 237. South Africa ended up getting 221, though the game has gone for a long period of time before then, despite only losing by 16 runs. So Rishabh Pant can't get a hit. But they've been playing Dinesh Karthik with the gloves for the most part, I suspect they feel like he's a better finisher. So whilst Rishabh is the more complete batsman, I don't think there's any argument about that, right? But for the balance of their side, they want Dinesh Karthik to play, DK to play because he's a better finisher, therefore gelling the side together a little bit better. But it is remarkable. I feel like Rishabh Pant could still do a pretty good job.
It's amazing with where T20 cricket is at the moment. It'll probably get even more specific, but like the finisher role is like, okay, sure, Rishabh Pant might be the most explosive batter in the world. There's an actual argument for that. Across 3 formats, whatever, pound for pound, nets, whatever you want to call it, he's explosion.
Yeah.
Personified, deluxe.
Bukkake.
But exactly. If batting was Bukkake, Rishabh Pant's in that conversation.
He's in the conversation.
And I've had that conversation before. Batting Bukkake. Who's in this conversation we're having around a table? Oh, you're leaving the table? Why? Police, what are you doing here? But finishing is now like a question of a punt might be explosive, but is he explosive over 6 balls?
Over 6 balls,
it's like who does the best work over 6 balls? Yeah. Oh, that's DK. Yeah. You know, and then it's a glove v glove, DK good glove. You know.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So I just find it amazing because I just want. I also think Punt will play well in Australia. I hope he gets a gig. But they're short on quicks, mate.
Yeah,
India.
The bowling is interesting. I mean, like
spinner's good.
Axar Patel will be the premier spinner, though Ashwin is right there with him. Chahal as well, though Chahal has had a little bit of a lame patch. I mean, Axar Patel in India is just the best bowler you've ever seen in your entire life. So
if you don't know his name in Australia, you'll know it by February.
I reckon so. But yeah, you're right. Pace attack. I mean, Arshdeep Singh will be their finisher now, especially with Bumrah not there, so he will bowl the death overs, no doubt. He's done okay at the top of the innings as well, so I fancy he will play. But then there's just a little bit like of what else? Harshal Patel, okay. Deepak Chahar. Bhuvi K. Yeah, it's just
3 of those 4 though, and then they might be. I think so. Chahar's on the bench, isn't he, at the moment? They might be bringing in Chahar or Mo Shami.
Okay.
And I saw maybe Siraj as an outsider.
I mean, India's batting is well, you know, it's India's batting is very good, and if they win, it's probably going to be because of their batting. I'll chase anything down, but the bowling just without Bumrah, without Jadeja, and what Jadeja brings in the field, and with the bat as well, because I mean he's a fucking pretty good finisher himself. So those are 2 enormous outs, and this is on the back of Moeen Ali actually saying at the end of the Pakistan-England series that he thinks that India and Australia are the favourites to win. So that's interesting as well. But just big outs for India. But, you know, I have seen them win in Australia with not their first 11 before.
Yeah.
So I feel like they've got a couple of good other players who we don't know or rate. So I guess we'll just win.
There's a lot of people in India who are nervous about their general ability to perform in an ICC tournament or under pressure.
For good reason. Haven't won anything in 9 years.
Which is why I think you know, as the Aussies showed last year, you only win T20 tournaments now through intangibles, non-data issues like friendship, like ski goggles, like love, or severe aggression. Either way, you have to be at some extreme end of an emotional spectrum to win. I've always maintained that.
Yes.
I've always maintained that. And that's why Stoinis is an important selection.
David Miller hit a 47-ball 100 in this second game. Some of just unbelievable batting. Referring to Quinton de Kock after the game, he said that Quinton said to him, he said, "Well batted, and I am so sorry." Because Quinton de Kock couldn't get Miller back on strike. I think de Kock finished like 69 off about 40 or something, 48, something like that. So he was going quite slow. In relation to Miller, who was hitting about 220, he's like, "I'm so sorry."
Like something a surgeon might say, not being able to save your grandmother or something. You know, I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Well, cricket is life and death. India are resting Virat Kohli and KL Rahul for this 3rd game. Now, I could have sworn Kohli just had a rest. They more time off?
He's got his runs though, hasn't he?
He's got his runs. He's got his mojo back.
I was listening. There's a good interview on with the Hello Sport Boys they did with David Warner, and he was talking about World Cups and stuff, and he just mentioned you just got to chill before a tournament. People will do whatever they want in like warm up games and that sort of stuff. But like when you're a little bit older, it's now time just to put the feet up, get your energy back. Because remember before last tournament, Warner was in all sorts. There was chat about him. You can't remember. I can't remember what happened 2 weeks ago in cricket, obviously. But he was in all sorts. Bit of talk, and then he just came into the tournament, player of the tournament.
Yeah,
so
that's pretty good. Anyway, that third game is tomorrow. Tonight. It's tonight. Pakistan and England have been in an unbelievable series. England ended up winning the series 4-3 in that final game. They actually ended up cruising it. I think they hit 210 in their first innings, and in the first innings rather. And Pakistan finished about 140. I haven't got the scores in front of me, nor do I care to. Now, this is a difficult one to talk about, Pez, in Australia because you literally cannot get access to this game anywhere, including with VPNs. So that's good. But Moeen Ali said, and this is probably the most important part about this series, generally speaking, Pez, in a global sense, in a humanitarian sense. And as we know, cricket is very important for the stability of mankind.
I hope this is going to be about sex, this quote.
From Moeen Ali would be interesting. He said, it's been amazing to be back here and playing cricket here once again after 17 years. Even before the cricket started, it was a big thing for us to come here. It's a privilege to be here and play cricket once again. The hospitality is one of the best in the world. The people look after you so well here, and they're so nice to you. We've been looked after extremely well. We've really enjoyed being here after such a long time. It's been outstanding. And I think, like, fundamentally, now that Australia, New Zealand, England have all been to Pakistan in very recent times. Wait, have New Zealand been back there? Because they were the first ones to cancel there. That's why England pulled out last year. Not sure if New Zealand have been there. Can't remember. Should have researched that.
Funny that.
Anyways.
No, I mean, it's funny because it's just there's heaps of bilaterals I don't remember.
Yeah, of course. I
don't think they have.
No. Anyway, I'm pretty certain as well that England go to Pakistan for a test series at the end of this year after the World Cup as well. Okay, so anyway,
the next test series.
The point is that like cricket is back in Pakistan. That's fucking great news for the good people in Pakistan as well because they obviously fucking love their cricket, and they haven't had any cricket to watch in their country for a number of years.
And the cricket's interesting there. It's got its conditions have their own rhythm and their own identity, and it's great to watch cricket in different ways.
For sure. Fairly outstanding achievement, I've got to say, for England to win this series because they've been without Stokes. Butler hasn't played, and obviously Bairstow, who posted recovery photos on Instagram recently after his broken leg, fractured leg, where he did his leg on the golf course there. They've won this series 4-3 without any of those top players who would be first names on the team sheet. Rizwan finished this series with 316 runs at 63, I think. Babar Azam hit 285 at 57, and Harry Brook, who is just getting his first crack into the international arena, he finished with 238 runs in this tournament at 79, which is unbelievable. But in terms of your most dangerous opening batting partnerships in the world, I'm going to go for Rizwan and Babar Azam, number one in the world for me. That's the best opening partnership.
Really?
I think so.
Fuck, there's a few going around. It's like NBA Jam.
Everyone's got something.
Little duo there.
KL Rahul and Rohit. That's good. Warner Finch. Nah. Yeah. I mean, Butler and Alex Hales it'll be in the World Cup, I think.
Well, it's a Hales v. Salt.
Hales v. Salt. Because Salt's had a good series.
Yeah, Salt came in, I think, game 6. So it was NBA Finals.
Yeah, it's a famous game 6.
He had a great game 6.
That's what they talk about. Phil Salt, game 6.
Salt's game 6
Salt
in Pakistan. T-shirts, everything. That was 80 or 40 or some shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not... Often you can say that a 7-game bilateral series is good. But I suppose part of it is because they hadn't been there for 17 years.
Sure.
You know, there's fewer instances of this than there are like World Cups.
Yeah.
So I think that was pretty cool. Yes, I mean, England have a litany of top order players who are also explosive as well. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's something about T20 cricket. Like you can fail. Failure is so... like common and accepted, and the next game is always so soon. Like it's very difficult to predict, you know, who's going to fire and who isn't.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the players talk about that, like that. There's too many games and it's too inconsistent in its nature, the sport, that you just don't even worry about it. They talk about like if you're just trying to do the right things, then that's good enough, you know. Yeah. I think I might have said this last week or maybe 85 times before, but I do think the team that wins the World Cup will be the ones who bowl the best. And like I wonder with England, their bowling attack at the moment, I think in Game 7 it was Wokes came in, Reece Topley played, I think Sam Curran played. Adil Rashid, obviously, Moeen Ali bowled as well.
Mark Wood's around.
Mark Wood is around. He didn't play in that last game, but he is around. Now, like, I'm just wondering if that's the team that is good enough to win. I worry about that. I worry. I'm fucking up nights.
No, you have been.
Fucking up nights.
I think it's brave of you to say this.
Got to get Botox in my head because of the stressies on my face.
Worry lines. Sorry, I'm just coming in over the top.
No, it's good. So it's texture.
What you're saying.
It's texture. Like India, can they win the World Cup with that bowling attack they're going to put out? Then Australia have their bowlers and they're pretty good. Zampa's coming along leaps and bounds, and he's a world class spinner as well. So
that's the other thing Warner said on that interview as well. He said Adam Zampa should have been player of the tournament last year. Didn't get anywhere near the accolades that he should have. Zampa's huge for Australia,
and he's got Kohli out about 15 times in his career. So that's good for one player that plays in the tournament.
They may or may not play against.
And then, South Africa, South Africa's attack is fucking sensational. Pakistan's attack is sensational in Australia as well, though South Africa have just been pumped by India, and Pakistan have just lost this series. So I don't know what I'm talking about. It's almost like anything can happen, and any one of the teams could win the tournament.
Every team has good players that at various times in the last 3 or 4 years have played good games. And at their best, those players are good to watch. And then when they go into a tournament, some of them might play well and some won't. In fact, statistics and probability suggest that's what's going to happen.
I tell you who's not going to win this? New Zealand. I'm basing that off that kit. One of the worst kits I've ever seen. Not just from New Zealand. And I feel let down by New Zealand, who have, I think they've got an easy job to make just a basic, pure kit, which represents...
Oh, if you're working with the colour black as well, how do you miss?
How do you miss?
How do you miss when you're working with black?
They've got that fucking shade of grey in there.
Yeah. There's all sorts of stuff you can do with the
stars are in the wrong
trappings.
place. It's a wrong tinge of red on it. It's terrible.
You got the All Blacks brand generally permeating the country.
It permeates the country.
You can fuck around with that. You can be kind of sophisticated in a kind of European, or as Australia would say, a Melbourne kind of way.
Yeah. You mean the European city?
Yeah.
Melbourne.
And all the Europeans come to Melbourne and go, I feel like I'm back in Europe.
Nice to be home.
Nice to be back on the continent.
Should we get a cafe au lait?
And or you can you can sort of take on the Iceland Mighty Ducks villain style with the colour black. Black is so versatile.
Yes,
versatile. That's how I say it, like vitamin.
As he's a cousin of Martin Guptill.
But you're right. They've ballsed it.
It's absolutely terrible.
And you're
I'm in bits over it.
Yeah.
I'm
more worry lines.
Up nights. Oh mate, honestly.
More worry lines, more Botox required.
Face doesn't move anymore.
I mean, but all these teams he goes, because we're just slipping into a loose, bad World Cup preview. Like India have reason to think they're playing well and they got their shit together. Pakistan and England have reason, like they've had a really good hit out against each other. Australia's unearthed Cam Green, trying to injure some players to get him into the side. Yep. Tim Davids from Space Jam. Yep. They're at home. Sri Lanka's won the Asia Cup. A lot of teams with cores, so it's like a big old Melbourne Cup field.
That's right.
Here are the reasons this team can win.
That's right.
And there are also some reasons that they can't.
Of course,
This team has good batters. Their bowlers aren't as good in these conditions.
Here's my least favourite thing about this job. That we are so across cricket now by a factor of, I'm going to say, 607 than when we actually played the fucking thing. When we played the sport, right? Yeah. Didn't watch cricket. If you watch cricket and you play great cricket, that's the weirdest thing you could do, right? I think we all agree on that.
I felt more across cricket then.
So that's exactly my point, because then when you come into a tournament, I don't know what India's squad is back then, nor do I care. There's an arrogance which permeates us as a viewing public. When we come into a tournament, Australia, we'll just win that. Now, nothing's changed except for our knowledge of the sport and other teams. And you look at some of these players Hetmeyer. I wouldn't give a fuck about who Hetmeyer is. Just some guy who bats fucking six for the West Indies sometimes when he wants
Shannon.
Yeah. See, it's still in there a little bit.
Whereas now I'm sort of...
I'm right across it, yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? But there's something that there's an arrogance to why Australians just turn up and they always are just there or thereabouts in a tournament.
You can people speak to you about the detail of the game, and the more detail they give you, the less respect you have for them and their understanding of the game.
Perfect.
You don't look them in the eye,
no.
And when you reply to them, you speak in maybe half or 1/4 of the words they used.
Yep.
And you only deign to give them one corner of your mouth to speak in, because you're Australian and that's what you're allowed to do, especially if you're playing at home in canary yellow.
Yeah. It is satisfying to know that Australia's kit won't be the worst of this World Cup.
I'm tipping New Zealand.
Other news, really well. We covered Pakistan. As I say, it's very hard to make
Definitely cover it.
real insights into that when you can't actually fucking watch the thing in this corner of the world that we have down here. Other news: AB de Villiers underwent eye surgery for retinal detachment. He'll not be making a comeback as a player. And I got to tell you, it's finally nice to have something related to AB de Villiers. Now I feel like that I could have done all those things that he did in his life.
Yeah, one of those well, firstly, I have no detail about that. I'm reading this for the first time now.
Got it.
And
Got it.
So I commenced by saying, I hope he's okay.
Hope he's okay. Let's make that clear.
Yeah. Okay. So is that good? We're good with that?
We're good with that?
Yeah.
Now, let's see where it goes.
It's the ironic punishment, isn't it? Best eye. Probably the best eye.
Probably the best eye.
Yeah. And now it's retinally detached. Nah, there's nothing there with that. I just hope his eye's okay. Really?
Well, it's a shame. It's a shame you won't be able to make a comeback to top.
Was there chat about that?
Well, there might have been a suggestion also based around the idea of the SA20, which by the way starts on January 20. So there's a couple of weeks left in the Big Bash, but there's about 10 days left in the Big Bash before that starts here in South Africa. So there might have been a suggestion he might have been playing in that, but literally his retinas had detached. That's safe.
How did that? Do we know how?
I don't know. I don't know how it happens. I don't know how it happens.
You wouldn't want to just wake up one morning. Fuck.
Eyes are gone.
They're detached. They're gone.
Other news: Mitch Johnson was fighting Yusuf Pathan in the Legends League, different to the Road Safety World Series Cricket Baseball League MLB thing.
Different league.
So the Legend tournament, Mitch Johnson getting in fights.
What are these tournaments, mate? Is it? I don't know. Are they gambling things? Is it a gambling front? I don't know.
Much like when those Russian farmers started the IPL, it was streaming on YouTube.
Same thing. Yeah.
Was that Russian?
I can't remember. That was the story of the year, and I can't remember that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It was a sting, wasn't it? Like, didn't they deliberately put it on to sort some gamblers out?
For gamblers in Russia.
Yeah.
Russia. Yeah.
So
no, they were in India.
So we're saying Watto and Mitch Johnson have actually been co-opted by the FBI or some European police.
Interpol?
Interpol to actually sort some gambling issues out. Good on them. That's a lovely...
Yeah, good on them.
Good on them.
Give them back to the game.
That's right. Mitch Johnson. Well, Mitch Johnson firing up. I guess that's good. The clip that we see online has no sound. I need audio.
Yeah. I would say it didn't look like it was a one-way street. It looked like there was a bit of to and fro. There was a bit of tete-a-tete.
I actually saw a headline here just before we came online. We got online to record this. It says umpire. This is from foxsports.com.au. Now, they put out a couple of good headlines last week after our interview.
Really reflective of the tone of those comments as well.
Quite reliable. And treating faithfully one of their own ambassadors for cricket.
Yeah, that was good, wasn't it?
Umpire sledge that sparked ugly T20 clash between Mitchell Johnson, Indian star. So I'm gonna read this out live. He goes.
Okay.
This is from Christy Doran.
Let's give it a go.
Friend of the show as well. So you're reacting to this. It was a sledge directed at female umpire Kim Cotton from former Indian star Yusuf Pathan is believed to have led to an ugly incident involving former Australian fast bowler Mitch Johnson. Bit of stuff about Mitch Johnson and his stats. They had to be separated late in the first innings. Pathan was furious when Johnson's final ball of his third over was not deemed a wide. So far, so good. The right-hander, who had belted 31 from 18, ducked under a short pitch delivery before angrily demanding an explanation from umpire Cotton. Pathan screamed towards the umpire, then walked towards his partner in the middle of the pitch before continuing on in Cotton's direction. At that point, Pathan met Johnson at the bowling crease, who took exception to the verbal, standing over his opponent and pushing his body into Johnson before the Australian pushed the batter away from him. The duo continued to exchange a torrent of words. Before Cotton managed to assist Johnson away. One player who was involved in the game but wanted to remain anonymous... Fuck. Christie's on the phone to someone at Legends of Cricket. I don't want to. Said Johnson did nothing and added Pathan was sledging the female umpires. Then Johnson got Pathan, but not before Pathan had smashed 48 from 24 to lift the Bilwarra Kings. World Cup winner Shane Watson also belted a 39 ball 65. That's nice, isn't it? Nice. Using T20 Stars kit too.
I thought Watto was playing in the Road Safety World Series.
Both, baby.
He's playing in both.
He's a domestic franchise king.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My mistake.
Master Tournament stuff. It was not enough though. The Indy Capitals, some shit, blah blah blah. I don't care who won. Okay, so what Christie and Fox Sports are strongly hinting at is that Mitch Johnson is the great defender of the female sex.
Yes, he was defending her honour
from a torrent of words from Yusuf Pathan, who stormed angrily towards her.
Different to a
because
torrent.
One anonymous player said Johnson did nothing. He did nothing. And he was sledging a female umpire, Yusuf Pathan.
That's right.
Any reaction to that, mate? Whose side do you want to take?
I don't know.
And there can only be one.
I reckon.
In these situations, there's always a really good person and a really bad person. Someone in the right and the wrong.
You know who I'm defending? Cotton. Umpire Cotton. Cotton on.
Fine cotton.
Wrapped up in cotton wool. And if you want to use Manscaped, use the code.
You won't need fine cotton for the nicks on your genitals anymore because you can use Manscaped.
Use the code TGC for 20% off at manscaped.com.
Cue haunted music. Michael Myers, sure he's scary, but the last thing you need is to be hairy this Halloween. Luckily, our friends at Manscaped launched their 4th generation performance package. So I was wondering what generation this performance package was. This is the 4th generation.
Yeah.
To make sure your pumpkins get the ultimate carving experience on this spooky day.
Fantastic.
Turn your bite-sized treat into a king-sized candy.
That's good.
And join the 6 million men worldwide. See, I just always have a problem with the number 6 million these days.
Oh my fucking God.
Every time you see it, you can't say the number. It's like retire the number.
There's a fucking like a jersey, like a jersey at Auschwitz. 6 million. Fucking hell.
Who trusts Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code TGC.
Oh my fucking God.
This has happened for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I've seen 6 million, and I'm like, I can't see it without just going like 6. Why are we talking about 6 million? We're talking about Manscaped.
I can hang it up.
Hang it up, boys. Make the right call this spooky season. It's trick or trim.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I like that. Bit of pun stuff.
You ever tried to trim your balls and turned it into a Freddy Krueger film?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I have actually, mate. Here I am trimming my balls, and I'm going to turn it into. Well, I've never tried to do it.
Yeah,
I've never shaved or trimmed my balls and truly smashed myself with scissors or something. Thank God.
No.
But the danger's always there.
Yeah,
I'm always like back in the day, pre Manscaped days, because I do Manscaped and it's good.
Yep.
If I was using scissors and they were shit scissors or whatever, like I would just be more careful than with anything in my life. Like and if there ever was the sense that I was slightly off with my fine motor skills, I think I wasn't ever chopping hard enough the hairs, to cause a problem. If I could feel a slight sharpness come on, I would just remove the scissors. So I never had a Freddy Krueger scenario.
Well, I was always just using my mum's razor, my mum's lady razor.
And what did you do with that razor after you'd finished?
Just put it back like a gentleman. Just always, they were always taught that as a kid. Yeah, if you're going to use it, just put it back.
Wash it?
No.
What are you doing?
Just blowing on it.
Here you go, Mum.
Happy Mother's Day.
Unlock your confidence with the Performance Package 4.0. That's interesting. So Manscaping and these talking points are actually going back to the optical inch angle. So you're going from a bite-sized treat to a
king-sized candy.
King-sized candy.
Yeah.
Look, I do think it's a factor. I do think it's a factor. It's a massive factor. Yeah. And it's about neatness and consistency.
I would say it's the premier reason to trim.
Yeah.
The optical inch.
Yeah.
That's the premier reason.
Just so to make your penis look bigger.
Yeah.
Because there's fewer things around it.
You're using it as an accent.
Yes. If you chop down all of the trees of a forest, but leave one, that tree's starting to look big.
Fucking big old tree there. It's a redwood.
Yeah. It's just not. It's just general. It's hell red oak. Oh, well, nice for some.
Yeah.
Must be nice for some. Yeah. Anyway, lawnmower 4.0 fourth generation.
What percentage of people do you think listen to this show have used that code TGC for 20% off free shipping?
Keep getting told that
numbers are good.
Keep getting told we love TGC. So I don't know.
That's good.
Don't much say that.
Hashtag AskTGC.
Haven't invoiced them for a while.
Are we sure we're still sponsored?
I might invoice them and they'll be like, yeah, this is guys, this was over ages ago.
It's finished in 2016.
True.
First generation. A non wrote in with the email headline, crying as I write this. Hashtag AskTGC. My dearest boys. I hate the cowardice of anonymity, but people at work listen to this podcast and I'd rather not expose myself as a, I'm going to presume, beta specimen with shriveled up balls.
It does say beat specimen.
Beat specimen.
Could have belonged to the Manscaped ad.
A beat specimen with shriveled up balls. One of my workmates asked to see me play, so I showed him some Frogbox footage of my finest hour this season, 2 for 21 off 8, and now he thinks I'm good. I don't want that to change. It's all I have left. I was... Grim start, okay. I was listening to my favourite Aussie stepdads about 6 months ago when Higgos got to experience that rarest of TGC moments, correspondence from a woman. What? After responding to her cricket-related ailments, Higgos expressed a cursory interest in the concept of mum stuff, a presumably mythical affliction whereby a person's mother sits atop the family cricket hierarchy, inflicting the kind of psychological pain usually imparted by dads. Do you remember what that was? I do not. There's a bit of memory in there, but
yeah, wasn't one of them was like good at cricket, weren't they?
One of them was good at cricket,
like maybe even played at a decent level, and dominated.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
Let's see where this goes.
Okay.
For 6 agonising months, I've waited for some other poor bastard to stick their head above the parapet, to no avail. I feel it's my duty to tell my story so that other mummy-domed cucks can begin their healing process. Anyway, let's cut to the chase. I have descended from being tipped as a future First 11 captain at a moderately successful club, all the way down the Pompey Highway to the present day. 31 years old, wheelie bin stuff, bowled or LBW for single digit most weeks, teammates openly wondering why I'm still doing this to myself. As my dad wasn't physically able and I have no siblings, mum was on throwdowns for the majority of my young life. The daily backyard sessions improved her game along with mine until she wanted to play competitively and promptly founded a women's team at the club. Prior to that decision, my mum had provided me with 13 years of love, encouragement and security. But once she began playing competitively, there was only room for one cricketing alpha in the family and mum wanted the crown. July 2005. My old club's lads v dads game. My dad's legs are basically mincemeat, held together with string. So...
I always appreciate.
I appreciate him.
Brutal language.
Yeah. So mum
mincemeat
held together by string.
Oh.
So mum demanded to play in his absence.
Nice.
The dads put her at 11. I was praying that she wouldn't get a bat. As the dads crumbled, my mum strode out to bat with confidence. She had a point to prove and knew I'd be brought into bowl. She faced years of my leggies in the backyard and knew the formula. Pat away the filth, cut the bad one. I knew I was in trouble. After patting away the first 3, she sniffed out the shorter one, rocked back and crunched it to the point boundary fence. My teammates were laughing. Humiliation. It was all too much for me. As the pubescent rage rose, I marked out the long run, charged in as fast as my slow twitch calves could allow, a collapse through the crease and shelled one halfway down. As my head lifted, I could see her beginning to cower. Her gloves were rising and her eyes were clasped shut. The ball hit her exposed left thumb. She yelped in pain. Her mask of anguish morphed into anger, and then, as she began to understand what her son had just done to her, a look of sadness and disappointment. That 100-kilometre-per-hour bumper changed our lives forever. Oh. In that one moment, whatever love and compassion my mum had left evaporated into the dusk. She would go on to dedicate the rest of her life to the long game of champing the fuck out of her son on and off the field. I won't bore you with the details of my cricketing descent, but let's just say the leggies don't come out right anymore, and I can't make a run to save my life. Meanwhile, Mum led the women's club to league titles, played a lot of higher level stuff before her back blew out, not like that, and and after retiring became the first woman in our county to become a panel umpire. As my career stagnated, we crossed paths a few times as she built up umpiring experience. Before long, she was travelling around umpiring top-level club cricket and women's county matches while I languished in the fours. At Saturday dinners, she regaled me about one of our old junior teammates scoring a century for the Ones. I'd tell her about getting put in the car park 8 times by a fat 50-year-old man listed on the scorecard as Wally. Sky Sports News came to the club to interview her about her career, and apropos of nothing, she decided to mention that she thought Andrew Flintoff was a beefcake, inverted commas, on national television. That was 15 years ago, and my teammates still make jokes about her being absolute filth. I am now in my 30s, still playing, still failing. Mum doesn't umpire anymore. She now gets her cricket kicks by turning up halfway through one of my games, attempting to chat up the groundsman, and watching my front pad get 9/11s. She waits for me to trudge off and is always there as I cross the rope to say something like, "Oh, darling, never mind. It's just not working out for you, is it?" She then leaves immediately afterwards. Luckily for me, she has almost had her fill of my failures. She turned up 2 games this season. For the second, she brought my girlfriend with her, presumably in a bid to make her leave me. After getting caught on the boundary, in brackets, chipped it to mid-off, and doing the usual sad trudge, I sat down next to them. Mum broke the silence. "I hope you're not wasting your weekly therapy sessions to talk about this. Wouldn't that be a waste of money?" I wanted to take a toaster into the tubs. "I have been using my weekly therapy sessions to talk about this. £50 a week to tell some poor bloke called Simon that I got bowled by a 14-year-old last week. £50 a week to explain why cricket means so much to me, how it's the central pillar of my waning self-esteem. £50 a week to figure out why my own fucking mother doesn't love me anymore. I end this missive with a multiple choice question I already know the answer to. Do I, A, get hold of some bovine steroids, spend a winter in the gym, bully it about in the nets, muck out the long run, and have one last shot at showing her who's a real fucking alpha? Do I, B, buy some golf clubs and never set foot on a cricket field again? Do I, C, continue living this waking nightmare until I have my own child whom I can alpha for at least the first 8 years of their life? Please help me, stepdads. My therapist is losing the will to live. Yours, Anon."
Bravo. Bravo.
Very good, Anon.
Bravo,
Very
Anon.
good. Mum stuff.
Yeah, good mum stuff.
Good mum stuff.
I mean, mum alpha stuff is it's a category of its own that
100%.
we haven't really touched on.
Have you seen it? Have you seen mum alpha stuff? Because
outside of cricket, yeah.
No, I meant yeah. I've seen it in some other people.
My mum was the alpha. I mean, is.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
I've never met your mum.
Yeah. Rest assured, it's alpha deluxe.
Yeah, sure.
But like it, not in the it's a new paradigm. Like it's not a toxic alpha. I just mean alpha in terms of the A being the first letter of the fucking alphabet, alpha,
right?
And
right.
the number one, the centrifugal force, the shining center. My wife Tori is the alpha of our family. I regularly, you've met Tori. Like I regularly say, like you would make one of the all-time alphas if you were a bloke. Like you would love it. And she's like, "Yeah, I would."
Well, she comes from a big old alpha family as well.
Well, you met it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Fuck.
I love the idea you'd say to your wife, just like turning the light out at night, "You would make one of the all-time alphas."
Oh,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Actually, well, it is funny how like
she is alpha.
I do think she's alpha. Like, and I do think it's non gender or sex specific. Really, like the alpha spirit. Like, but it manifests and gets like constructed in different ways through a gender prism, right? Welcome to sociology.com.
Yeah.
So my wife doesn't like toxically alpha me, and I'm not going to go into that like, oh, my wife is a boss sort of shit. I don't mean that sort of shit.
No.
But like, you know, females can alpha. Like, no, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
I just want to pick up on a couple of things because I feel like there's some opening remarks there. Do you have any opening remarks?
This show's someone going to go for 3 hours. We've made it.
Oh, like, just I was trying to answer his question, I guess. I don't know the answer yet, but I want to start with, like, I mean, the actual incident, and I hope the therapist called Simon has dealt with this, because you've got to go to the, like, original sin, right? The actual moment of where the relationship fundamentally changed.
Right.
And I just want to pick up on, like, he's bowling to his mum and she's patting him away. I mean, now just the nerd in me is like, where are you pitching outside leg? Like, what is it like? He's patting away.
Is he going around the wicket?
Is he coming around the wicket just into the rough?
Yeah,
into the rough of an AstroTurf pitch.
Yeah.
Normally that's just when like some like drug addled person the night before is like burnt the pitch.
That's right.
As kids, we called that the rough.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, she's patting him away.
See, that to me suggests automatically that's alpha. Because she knows that you're going to dish down some halfway down shit.
But anyone like patting a leg spinner, is he bowling leggies? Yeah, he's bowling leggies.
Yeah.
And like he I mean, how old are we here? We don't even know how old he is. He's 13.
14?
He's
15.
13. He's 15. Right.
I know, that was 15 years ago.
But even just
he's in his 30s now.
So he's 15, adolescent. But just to be bowling in a manner and landing on a length where the only defensive option for anybody is to just use the pad, you know, to get the gloves and the bat out of the way. It's quite sophisticated.
But mum can play.
Well, mum can play. She's 11. And he's obviously bowling quite well too. I just want to note that he's bowling well. I don't know why. She's patting him away 3 times. You're in with a shot if they're patting you.
Well, she's chopping the groundsman for a start, getting the back blown out. I'm sorry, Anon. I didn't mean that.
Even though he mentioned that was 20 years later. But for a start.
Mate, what about
getting her back blown out, farm the old Jimmy Jack out.
What about her calling Andrew Flintoff a beefcake and the mate just going, your mum is absolute filth.
Absolute filth. I'm just wondering if he can repair that relationship by somehow kind of playing that game again, you know, like going back to the original sin, like that she's older now.
Yeah.
He's a bit older. He's playing wheelie bin stuff, so he's not offering much anyway. But
she's on the panel.
They're obviously not going to play like a formal game of cricket, but it could be something in the backyard. I don't know, like something up at the park. But then he needs to somehow recreate this, and I'm just thinking like enable his mum to bump him or to break his finger.
Do you think there needs to be a physical action? Because I wonder if they could find bonding experience, maybe going to the cricket, or do they already have such existing relationships with the game? Either him being, you know, descending into filth with his own career, and his mum having a relationship of being a panel umpire and playing some county stuff or whatever, so that maybe their relationship with the game itself is already too ingrained within themselves, so they can't actually mend their current relationship through a game, through like watching a game. Does it have to be a physical action? I think perhaps you might be right.
I know I reference this book all the time, but in Stephen Biddulph's book Manhood, he talks about the importance of of rituals for like prepubescent and adolescent boys. You know, that like all through like anthropologically, boys in strong, healthy societies go through some kind of ritual, usually put on by men, to help them initiate or like transcend into adulthood. It's usually some kind of physical thing. And he said such rituals don't necessarily exist like in Australia, but games like backyard cricket, etc., can be a way for like young boys or whatever to learn the ropes of adulthood. And I just find it interesting. I wonder what Biddulph would say, introducing the mother into this ritual. This is where things have gone awry. This is, and you know, but maybe speaking to progress as well. So he's responded badly, you know, as an adolescent might to him, his mother patting him away with quite sound defensive technique, and obviously his mother has won the mental battle in that situation, causing the son to change tack in pubescent rage, red face, tears streaming down his face now as he's running into bowl.
Yeah.
And he's inflicted injury upon her.
Yeah.
Now this is where I want to know where the dads were in this situation, because this is a ritual they were involved in. Where were the dads to kind of manage that situation?
The other dads in the game.
The other dads.
Dads versus lads game, right.
And I know he's described his dad as having legs which were basically mincemeat held together with string. But presumably Dad was still there.
He was there.
Where's Dad here? Where's Dad to manage this? Because the mum is now punishing the son for life.
Yep.
For inflicting that injury.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's stunted his growth, his adolescence. I wonder what he's doing now. He's on to wheel. He was first 11 cricket. Now he's wheelie bin stuff because of this bumper. I mean, maybe he's thinking about this all wrong. He goes, I'm just brainstorming here. Like,
No.
Maybe he goes to mum and says, totally legitimate ball, back and across.
Yeah.
And he also doesn't say what happened next. Did she retire hurt? Did she bat on? Did he knock her over? Did he blow out the pegs after that?
Sprayed pegs.
Yeah, mum's legs. Maybe he could have just said legitimate ball. You're going to pad me away. That's what you're going to deal with. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't the padding away. It was
Use
the
your
cut.
bat.
It was the cut shot which instigated this moment.
True.
That was the.
Yeah, that's right.
That was the
Pad away, then back across.
That was the kerosene in the explosion of this.
Kind of like if you can. It's like the reverse of opening the batting. If you leave everything outside off stump, someone just comes straight to you. Bang! There's my runs off my pads. But it just goes the other way. He offered her a bit of width because he was looking for a different way to get her out, and she's just won through patience. So he responded by injuring her.
He really saw red there because he was buying leg spin, got cut for 4, goes long run, bumper. That's seeing red.
But with respect to him, like, can you imagine, honestly, imagine your mum, my mum, in a dads versus lads game, all of your friends and their dads, and your mum comes out and just fucking, it's not even like it's a shot over cow corner like a slog. Like I'm now imagining it's fucking Ian Bell backing across, bang, in front of point.
Yeah.
Can you, and your mates would just be howling, which is sexist when you think about it, if she's good enough to play that shot. But even so, that's what they're doing, they're howling.
But what about the idea of actually bumping your mum?
So
if he's in his 30s now, it's happened 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So that means he's high to mid-teens. That's 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, you can't be 16 doing that.
Bumping your mum.
Yeah,
if those numbers are right. If those numbers are right.
Did the boys and the dads go like, ooh? It's
July 2005. Okay.
So
he's 13 years of love, encouragement, security.
He's in his 30s. It's between 13 and 15.
13 and 15. Okay, if he's 13, a bumper.
I don't think it's right.
15.
Well,
15
it's
no
not
good.
a bumper because it's halfway down the track and it's got her on the thumb. But it's still like...
Yeah.
She's right-handed. She's just got to... Mate, have I told this story
Pretty
before?
good.
I had a similar... It's not a similar-ish incident, but like my family was up the park playing cricket once and I was bowling to my dad and my mum wanted to go. Have I said this on the show before?
Let's find out.
Oh, no, and he just like, she wanted to have a hit, so she went up one end. It was a turf wicket that wasn't prepared, we were just playing on it. And she's an alpha, but she's not a cricket alpha.
Yeah.
And Dad like literally just like lobbed one. Like maybe put a little bit of undercut on this.
That was slider.
That were tough times. Yeah. And it actually slipped through and hit her on the shins.
Real cricket ball.
Real cricket ball.
Right, yeah.
And she was just adamant that he'd done it deliberately.
Yeah.
They broke up sort of soon after that as well. And it's just what I'm saying. Like these incidents can really.
Did you go up?
Yeah.
Did you go up?
In tears. Yeah, up to the therapist's office.
Well, that's a great question, Lon. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you to everyone out there who's listened and watched to this show. Watched to this show. Well, sometimes we make mistakes. Not me. I am perfect, as are you. We'll be back plenty more times on the internet. If you want to follow us on Patreon, you know where to find us there. Plenty more to come there, of course, with more #AskTGCs. When are we back on the internet? I don't know. Thanks to everyone who bought tickets. Thanks to everyone who bought tickets to the Melbourne show. Saw that in a wee half an hour. Not bad, I would say. See you guys on the internet later. Cheers.